seed in our homeland, boys. Let it grow where all can see. Feed it with our devotion, boys. Call it the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Save it from the storm, boys. Water down its roots with tea. And the sun will always shine on the old Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. March along with the piper, boys. We were born forever free. Let's go pay the piper, boys, beneath the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Pay the price they're asking, boys. Always pay the tyrant's fee. Never give up the struggle, boys. Fight for the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Stand for the rights of man, boys. Stand against all tyranny. Hang the lance of freedom, boys, high on the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. It will grow as we grow, boys. It will be as strong as we. We must cling to our faith, boys, faith in the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty.
We all need to prepare ourselves. You might have the food, water, gold, and silver, but ask yourself, are you truly prepared? That's why you need to visit MaineMilitary.com. MaineMilitary.com carries everything you need. Gas masks, fire starter kits, high-capacity magazines, chemical suits, military surplus items, and much more. Do you own a firearm? MaineMilitary.com has a large selection of pistols and rifles suited for your needs. Are your local stores sold out of ammunition? Call or visit them today for prices on hard-to-find ammo and bulk ammo orders. You don't need to worry about having a military surplus store in your area because MaineMilitary.com is the only store you'll ever need, all from the comfort of your computer. Visit them online today at MaineMilitary.com. That's Maine, like the state, military.com.
Join Mark and Todd for Weapons Wednesday, where you'll learn how to use everything from your bare hands to your average AR-15.
The 12-gauge autoloader.
Sure.
The 45 long slide.
Yep.
With laser sighting.
You betcha.
The Uzi 9mm.
Yes, sir.
Phased plasma rifle in the 40-watt range.
What are you, crazy?
Wrong.
Okay. They'll talk about that too. So whatever question you have about whatever weapon you have, call Mark and Don on Weapons Wednesday. And remember, your mind is your first best weapon.
Liberty's Guardian, Guns and Ammunition, a family-owned business located in the heart of Ohio's hunting country. Let us help you find the right shotgun or rifle for you. Or if you're looking for a pistol or concealed carry, we have a nice selection of compact and subcompact pistols for that too. Check out our website at www.libertiesguardian.com. That website again is www.libertiesguardian.com. Go to the website and check out our selection today.
I had a dream the other night that, well, I didn't understand. A figure walked in through the mist with a flintlock in his hand. His clothes were torn and dirty as he stood there by my bed. He took off his three-cornered hat, and speaking low to me, he said, "We fought a revolution to secure our liberty. We wrote the Constitution as a shield from tyranny. For future generations, this legacy we gave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. The freedoms we secured for you, we'd hoped you'd always keep. But tyrants labored endlessly while your parents were asleep. Your freedom's gone, your courage lost. You're no more than a slave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. You buy permits to travel and permits to own a gun. permits to start a business or to build a place for one. On land that you believe you own, you pay a yearly rent, although you have no voice in saying how the money's spent. Your children must attend a school that doesn't educate, and your Christian values can't be taught according to the state. You read about the current news in a regulated press, and you pay a tax you do not owe to please the IRS. Your money is no longer made of silver nor of gold. You trade your wealth for paper so your life can be controlled. You pay for crimes that make our nation turn from God and shame. You've taken Satan's number. You've traded in your name. You've given government control to those who do you harm so they could burn down churches and seize the family farm and keep our country deep in debt, put men of God in jail, harass your fellow countrymen while corrupted courts prevail. Your public servants don't uphold the solemn oaths they've sworn, and your daughters visit doctors so their children won't be born. Your leaders send artillery and guns to foreign shores and send your sons to slaughter fighting other people's wars. Can you regain the freedoms for which we fought and died? Or don't you have the courage or the faith to stand with pride? And are there no more values for which you'll fight to save? Or do you wish your children to live in fear and be a slave? O sons of the Republic, arise, take a stand. Defend the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Preserve our great republic and each God-given right. And pray to God to keep the torch of freedom burning bright. As I awoke, he'd vanished in the mist from whence he came. His words were true. We are not free, but we have ourselves to blame. For even now as tyrants trample each God-given right, we only watch and tremble, too afraid to stand and fight. If he stood by your bedside in a dream while you were asleep and wondered what remains of the freedoms he'd fought to keep, what would be your answer if he called out from the grave? Is this still the land of the free and home of the brave? God bless you, and God bless this republic.
Remember your training, and you will come back alive. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first hour of the afternoon intelligence report. Hold on here a second. I'm going to smell the coffee. I can't pass this up and taste. It's really good. We're going to enjoy ourselves before we go waging war against an enemy that, if they have their way, would slaughter most of the country and destroy your liberty and freedom completely. For that reason, whoever it is and whatever stands with that cause needs to be put in their grave. And you're listening to us on Libertytreeradio.4mg.com, AM and FM micro stations, AM and FM conventional stations, CB base stations, and Liberty Tree Radio on YouTube, along with Ultra Net Hallmark and Golden Spike Technologies east and west of the Mississippi, along with Alaska. Good afternoon to all of our friends out there in Lower 49, which includes the great state of Jefferson, along with CONUS, the outlying two states, the outlying territories, and the clock. It is 5:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is Thursday. It is the 23rd of July. It is the 12th year of open Fabian Socialist and Soviet Socialist occupation of America with a K, 2020. Old Earth calendar, 2020. The Dance of Swords, conflict begins. Congratulations, you got a war on your hands. How are you going to deal with it? And if you get caught flat-footed, it isn't our fault. We've tried to help. You may not have taken action, and, well, that's in your backyard. Anyway, It is Thursday. It is that other T-Day that usually government or the Israelis attack because they figure everybody's going to be at work. So if they're trying to generate victims, Tuesdays or Thursdays are when they typically ram planes into buildings, when the Israelis, of course, set off bombs in the buildings during that, or if you have regular bombing activities by the Mossad and other operatives in countries like America, creating more terrorist conditions / just foreign actions and antagonism against the country to try and destroy our freedom and our liberty. And as we know, the T-Days, we always have to pay attention on the T-Days. So, anyway, I am curious because yesterday's programming on YouTube doesn't seem to have shown up in the archives. And I know Ed's right there, so I was just curious, is there a delay or did the system fail to record? And you know what? I'd like a conversation with you. Ed, if you're right there, come up on the microphone for a minute.
1, 2, 3. Like I said, YouTube will delist us and will delist us for pieces of music that we play that they don't think we have the copyright to play for. That one's probably in dispute. I just have to take a look at the email.
Well, only curious because again, I'm going to cover.
Well, it's going to be taking music requests is what's going to do that to our feed on YouTube. Our archives there. Whenever we play any music, the lyrics, because of the algorithm that they use, it'll flag it and get it delisted.
Music requests.
Yes.
Okay. Which one did we do yesterday?
I don't remember. I don't remember. But if it's not there, it's probably because of that, or I've noticed that sometimes they don't show up till we do the next live stream, and then they show up in the archive. So we'll wait and see what it does.
Watch to see what happens. Only because, again, what was it? This is my point. What was our subject yesterday, guys? Yesterday was Weapons Wednesday. What was our subject? Money. The discussion of not only the problem, because the problem is, I won't say irrelevant, but it is irrelevant because we're not going to fix their problem. Now, they have more than ample mechanisms and instruments to not collapse the economy and not destroy America. But the ring knockers and the spit swappers, who all need to be shot or executed in whatever way you choose, whoever's closest, if you want to hang them from a willow tree, I have no problem with that. I can't get there. I won't be able to stop it in time. I'd like to be able to interrogate the enemy, but if you wipe them off the face of the earth, we just want to keep the corpse for DNA confirmation and cross-referencing to find the rest of their minions. If they're alive, we can find more of the enemy minions, okay? But we also discussed solutions because we have the solutions. You are bankers. See, that's the part that you didn't get anything in school. The public fool system is run by the Department of Dumbification/Education. The word is fictional. It's dumbification. And for that reason, you're not given any real information on how the machine or the system runs. You're supposed to just shut up and be closed-brained, have a shoe-size IQ in their eyes, and be dysfunctional until such time as they ruin your life by stealing your retirement, moving Social Security farther and farther out, creating all kinds of conditions whereby even if you do have any of these things you've paid and paid and paid and paid and paid and paid and paid into at gunpoint, then you don't qualify for, and you never will. So you all of a sudden realize you've been screwed. Well, before we let the next generation get screwed like that are the people that are thinking like us, and rather than spin your wheels thinking somehow you're going to find a solution, it is time for an American war for independence. It is needed. Its time has come. We've hit so many walls, the cashless society issue being one of them. Well, a bunch of these private corps, they always do this. They've got these prostitutes/fellow travelers that push this. And I'm going to bring up something I mentioned yesterday. You know what? Walmart only has so many employees. Walmart has all kinds of things on the shelf. Take the time, go through the store, fill up a cart with go through every aisle, not just one, go through every aisle and pick something from every aisle. Do 1, 2, 3 of this, 1 or 3 or 4 of that, 2 of this, 1 of this, 6 of those. Make sure they're small things. When you're done filling up the cart, go up to the no cashier line. And, of course, now they're telling you, oh, you can't use cash. But you don't know that. You have cash. You want to buy the product. And you see the sign that says no cash. Shh, don't say a word. Ring everything up. and then pull your cash out and ask them, well, I have cash. I can pay for this. Well, we can't do that. Oh, you can't? What the hell am I doing here? And you walk away. Or just do that with the cash register. Just do it completely, and then walk away. Leave everything right there. Leave it bagged, leave the cart there, walk right away, walk right out of the store, go home.
Mark?
Why? Because there's more of you than there are of them. And all of these companies that are trying to push the cashless crap with no cashier on top of everything else, this is the perfect environment for you to pile up and burn their resources, but not in any way that hurts anything. They get to keep the product, they get to do what they wanted to do, and you get to do what you know you need to do, which is to walk away from them. Go ahead, caller, jump in there.
Yeah, with regard to the Walmart thing, I was going to chime in yesterday. I mean, I don't know if they have a deli section or not, but I would say additionally, go and get a whole bunch of stuff sliced up at the deli. And then also make sure you go to the frozen food aisle, ice cream and, all those kinds of little goodies, and load that up in your cart, so they have a lot of spoilage.
Time to leave, right. Yeah.
What are they going to do with it?
Do to them what they thought they were going to do us. They're promoting the destruction of our freedom. Kindness to an enemy like that is suicide. I want everybody to think about that's listening, because, that's mean. It's like, yep. These creatures are going along with the communist Chinese, the globalists that are in Washington, which includes Trump, all the rest of these turds, because they're not addressing this. They're letting it slide in. And I will remind you again, Walmart and all these communist Chinese box store companies were allowed to stay open, while all of you American businesses had a gun put in your face by all these cops that you seem to think you need to support, and all these cops and all these bureaucrats, all these public health creatures, all these petty socialists, the minority, a vast minority of thin butter, greasy margarine, actually stretched across this vast toast of America, so to speak, and this little pile of rat pigs and some monkey poke backstabbers have been allowed to do, if possible, they want to totally bondsman/indenture you to the police state. And the cops went right along with it. And now, we want to support the cops. Why? It's very important. Why? Well, they're not going to save anyone. What's funny is, like I said, classic example, they were given a chance. That thing in Missouri took place. At the very least, they could have said, oh, hell no, we're not going out to take those people's guns after the fact. But the outrageous, bottom-feeding blue line, no, it isn't a blue line, it's a black line, black uniforms. Interior police, KGB, black uniforms. Oh, they had no problem and felt perfectly safe that they could go out and piss in the face of and piss on the back of those property owners and take their weapons. So you tell me what those cops are. I'll tell you what they are, a bunch of dirty whores. Period. I have no use for them at all, because in fact, I know better. I know the moment, given the opportunity, when the red hammer and sickle flies in D.C. the rest of the way, if they were able to plug everything in, these POSs would be right there licking the bung hole of communism so deep their ears would be brown. And these characters like Walmart, you need to stop doing business with them. There's a whole bunch of other companies out there that are doing all kinds of dirtiness that, you know what, you need to walk away from. I'm going to tell you something. I don't buy anything from Amazon. I never have. I never will. I refuse to. It's bad enough I finally walked through the doors of Walmart, but like I told you, I will use Walmart instead of letting them use you. We cherry pick and take whatever they're marking it down, and I can put it towards the war effort. That's where it goes. And I've told you before, the only reason we go in there is to see what's marked down to $1, $2, $3. We don't regularly shop at any Walmart. No interest in it. There's better places that are better stores that are American-oriented, that are owned by locals in Texas or in Mississippi or in Missouri or in Ohio or in Georgia, wherever we are. I try to find small businesses that we can deal with, local stores. I love Piggly Wiggly. By the way,
Mark,
bunch of the southern stores. Hold on a second, caller. One thing before I jog my memory here. In the South, pretty much all the Southern American-owned chains are flat out saying they don't demand anybody wear any face masks at all, and they don't expect any of that nonsense. They just made that announcement the last couple of days. In fact, they made a public stand-up announcement because they were expected to do the toe the line with the rest of the commies, and they didn't. Those are the people you're looking for. You better start siding 100% with what little you have, because what little you have times millions adds up. Number one, beat down your enemy. Number two, promote and support people who actually put their money where their mouth is and risk their lives or risk their business to do the right thing. Go ahead, caller, jump in there.
Just back to the Missouri couple. Maybe you're not aware that this is official. They caught the prosecutor's office and the police altering her non-functional pistol so they could call it a dangerous or a lethal weapon.
Remember what I said? I believe,
you know what? People are saying,
well,
the cops are just doing their job. Yeah, altering firearms. Isn't that a felony? Isn't that a crime? I'm sorry. I just had to bring it up.
Tampering with evidence is a high crime / what they call a felony.
No, not for
not when the cops are doing, or not when the right cops are doing it.
No.
Obviously, you see, there's a certain little pack there that, again, they're so far up the bunghole of that commie that's there that they couldn't, their head couldn't be pulled out with a crowbar, and if she had some kind of tightening of the sphincter, their head would pop up into her bowels.
I mean, they're talking about we got to support the police and fund the police and fund the police, and at the same time, the same people who want to fund the police are wanting their what is that that exemption for them when they kill somebody about being responsible? What is that called?
I know. Now you just turned my brain off. I know.
Yeah, it's okay. Don't. Yeah.
No. If I don't think about it, I can rattle it off. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because they brought that up. Basically, it's a special dispensation immunity. Okay. No, come on.
Yeah, but so people know. But anyway, I got to go. Bye.
No, you got the right idea. It has to do with the I want to say it's just like diplomatic immunity is what it comes down to. Well, they're exempt from. Well, of course, and the institution has to take the hit. By the way, before the War Powers Act, pretty much that garbage didn't exist. But since they declared war in 1933, they altered the structure of all of these corporations, and the responsibility of the individual, who technically doesn't exist, because these are all members of the lower end of the party, the lower Communist Party, or the monarchical mechanism. They are the institutional monarchs, the monarchist element at where the rubber meets the road level. It's that simple. So anyway, the interesting thing about this, as I pointed out, and it wouldn't surprise me, what was just said about the tampering of evidence, I figured it was having something to do with the gun. I hadn't heard what it specifically was, but I heard a comment about it. And the fact that they would be trying to alter the weapon is fascinating in itself. But I'm going to point out one more time, like I said yesterday, just to make sure it gets out there in record somewhere. Guys, you can have Billy Badass with all the latest toys and all the spiffiest camo and all of the most wonderful transportation. None of those dirty whores would sign up and get on the front line when push came to shove. But a blonde-haired woman with her, they were with total lack of pistol, craftsmanship, held back a throng, held back a whole bunch of thugs with an inactive weapon. And most important to understand is why? Well, because she looked like she was willing to use what she had in her hand. And I've told you this before. All these movies, think about what you saw there. How many movies have you been told, because they show it? They even did it in one of the later James Bond movies, which one it was, two back or whatever. He uses his weapon, and then it goes empty, and he looks at it disgustingly, and he throws it down. Why? What was that for? Was that for the movies, for the storyline, or was that propaganda for your small p brain, they figure? How would your enemy know whether or not the weapon is empty? How would your enemy know whether or not the weapon works? And if you take the attitude that you are, in fact, it is Russian roulette, because it is as likely as not that the gun does work. So you got this woman. She's keeping her arm bent, so she's got her arm right up there where she needs to be. The pistol constantly stayed on and pointed towards the enemy, and her husband once in a while. With her finger on the trigger, well, that's terrible gun etiquette. Yep, you're right. That's you should be scared etiquette, which is what kept them all at bay. Your gun etiquette didn't even show up. Your spiffy, looking real, squeal squared away with the latest, coolest camo and the latest, coolest web gear and the latest, coolest rifle wouldn't even come near the place. Didn't mean jack or squat, did it? But that woman, middle-aged, lawyer, lawyer, on top of everything else, arm bent, kept pointing the gun at the people and expressing her opinion about what was going to happen. I'd say that woman has a whole hell of a lot more guts than all of the worthless turd police department in St. Louis has more guts than 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 whore mercenary companies that the guy called. You know, we need protection. Well, we can't show up there. But the blonde-haired woman with not a whole lot in the way of pistol marksmanship or craftsman skills, you know, trade master. No, but she was master of the moment. Her and her husband. And whether you like it or not, just like I said, there's certain situations where throw out all the garbage where people try to ridicule somebody for actually doing something and understand that they actually got it done. In some cases, I would point out it's kind of goofy because, well, you know, Homie Fry was stupid for what he did. You know, example, the situation with the gangbanger that got shot here in Detroit. Okay, he's standing next to the other character or near the other character who's getting busted, but he's not getting busted. And he keeps fishing in his pocket, and finally, the dog bites. And as I said before, okay, it might be a stupid situation. He didn't have any real training. No, he wasn't armed with the best of weapons. But he did something that most of the best, prettiest characters would never do, and that's stand by his dog. And in his mind, you know, it's like he said, I can't let you do that to my man, And so he pulls out that little 25 jet fire. He goes to town. Now, no marksmanship, and again, he got whaled and nailed right there. Cops didn't hit him with every bullet they fired, but they fired pretty close and pretty well hit him and killed him dead. And, of course, we had to have protests, you know, fictional BS protests. He was unarmed, that poor little kid. No, he was 19 years old, and Homie Fry pulled out a pistol and tried to fire at cops at point-blank range. But, and this is the big but, and it's an important one, in his mind, he was fulfilling a promise he was going to stand with the other man. And I'll give him credit for that. He's going to stand with his homie, with his dog, with the guy that he's riding with. I've seen a lot of piss willies wrap their spine right out of their bunghole and turn into just absolute jelly. Cost him his life. I understand that. I understand the ramifications of what he did. But I'll give him credit for doing what he promised to do. He just could have done it better. See how that works? You don't look for the pretty. So I'm going to tell you right now, I've said this several times, and I got to keep reinforcing this. You know, we had a lot of characters, I want to be with the militia. I've had this experience and that blah, blah, blah. You know, that guy, I don't like him, and he doesn't look pretty, and that guy's like, he's a little overweight, and blah, blah. And well, all these asshats that usually do that, they have the $3,000 rifle, and they have some really pretty uniforms. And some really great expensive gear because they were told by Schmidlap that they got to have Schmidlap 4,000 gear or they just can't fight a war. Because last year was the Schmidlap 3,000, and that's no longer any good. That's all stale. So if you don't have the Schmidlap 4,000 gear, you're just not able to fight. And you know what? Every one of those peckerwoods like that never showed up. But the people that Fed agent or that plant or that spineless cur, take your pick, whatever it was, that was trying to cause all the conflict with all the other guys that had been there forever and actually always showed up. Well, those other guys that they were always lamenting, this guy, those are the people who did show up. when everybody's life was at risk, but not the pretty boys. You couldn't find the pretty boys. They were gone. They'd be gone for 6 months, and then they'd poke their, oh, hi, I'm back. No, you're not. Now, I didn't do it that way. I'm going to tell you what I did. Oh, yeah, really? Oh, yeah, well, we got this special group. It's really special. It's very special, very important. You need to be over here with a special pretty group. I didn't call it a pretty group. But you see what I was doing? Yeah, you don't let them all pissed off because they're not going to do anything anyway. But, well, just let them stand over there and suck their coffee and eat the food and be over there with their little pretty special group, away from all of you. While you're doing something else, they're doing that. I learned to do this decades ago. Pick out who the traders are real quick. You don't necessarily brush them away. You want to keep them spinning their wheels. You got them at arm's length. You can keep them right where you want them and put them right where you need them.
Hey, Mark.
That's how you do it, people. Anyway, caller, jump in there, please. Go ahead.
This is Todd down in Orlando. I talked to you on Friday for about 10 minutes. Right at the end of the program, we were talking about gold, silver, and the dollar, and just the basics we went over. You remember that call I was talking to you about?
Right. Go right ahead, please.
Something happened between the time I got off the phone and today, and I don't know if anyone noticed it or not, but gold and silver have broken out of a trading range. And at the time on Friday I was talking to you, gold was at like $17.85 an ounce, and today it's up over 18. It touched right about 1900.
Right.
And the reason I'm telling you that is because the previous high on gold back in 2011 was 1900. Now, there's a ton of short interest. If you know anything about trading, short interest means when it breaks that area, it's going to be a short squeeze and it's going to cause the price to go up. And if the price of gold goes up to 2,000 and above, everybody and their brother is going to freak out and jump into gold and silver. So Friday, if someone had bought an actual ounce of gold and they had held on to it until today, they would have made $100, which is not a lot of money. But I have been in an exchange traded fund for the last 30 days. It's called the GLD. It's the biggest exchange traded fund for gold that there is. I'm going to do the math here for everyone if anyone's interested. I think gold is going to go up the rest of the year. The dollar's going to collapse. The system is going to collapse, and gold and silver are going to keep going up. There's not going to be any pullbacks. There's not going to be, coming back down to a trading range. It's just going to keep stair-stepping up. There's going to be some gargantuan moves. There's going to be some sideways moves, but there's not going to be a pullback. If people want to learn instead of just buying it outright, if they want to learn how to make an insane amount of money, not stock market trading, just making one options trade on the GLD this year, hold on to it until an expiration date of March. Between now and then, you will make 3,000, 4,000, 5,000% on your initial trade. And that's just if it goes up to 3,000 this year. Everybody I'm hearing talking about how the system's going to collapse, they're saying no, gold's going up to 40,000, 50,000 an ounce because of all the derivatives, the trillions and trillions of dollars of derivatives that are sitting in the Federal Reserve, Deutsche Bank, and all these other Santander, all these other major banks have got trillions in derivatives, and they need to be maintained. But if the dollar doesn't maintain its viability, these derivatives are going to hit the open market. And when it does, the dollar is going to crash. Everyone's going to look for somewhere to put their net worth. It's going right into gold and silver. So learn about options trading. Even if you had only a couple $100 to put on a trade at the GLD, you're going to make an insane amount of money by the end of the year.
Right, I think real quick, this is exactly what happened back when we were at the 900 jump heading over to 1100. The same thing, years ago, decade, in fact, if you go back to the sine, look at the sine wave, go back that far. And one of the things I pointed out is diversification. Now, another thing, you remember that for years now, the spot is not matching reality. In other words, even if there is a spot, the actual selling price is much higher typically in the market. Nobody's coming off for what is the commodity spot. Nobody sells it for that.
If you go on eBay right now to buy an actual silver eagle, you're going to spend $32, $33 if you can find it. Now,
Can I enter into this conversation? I have a
Sure, go ahead.
question. All right. You're saying you're going to make a bunch of money, and I'm not. I'm a gold bug. I'm a silver bug, so I'm not at odds with you. But I want you to clarify something, because let me just say it, just to use words. I disagree with you, because yes, gold. Everything you said is true. I won't belabor it. But the problem is that quart of oil is going to cost a fortune. That milk is going to cost a fortune. You're not going to make money. And anybody in their right mind that sells an ounce of silver, an ounce of gold for paper is a fool. So address that. I just want to counter that. Just the way you
I can answer that if you want.
You're going to make a bunch of money.
I can answer that.
I agree with it. Okay, now we're all on the same page here, because
right.
this is something we need to explain. There are several different elements to silver and gold. There's obviously the speculation market, which basically you throw your money into paper, your digits. Let's do it this way. We've been talking digits for months now.
I'm addressing, are you making money or are you preserving wealth?
Right. Oh, no. First, though, well, let's qualify this for a lot of people who are listening, because they're told to get into the commodities market. Okay, the commodities market isn't going to offer us anything, guys. At the end of the day, when you go into a piece of paper and it comes out the other end, they're not offering you gold, just like what the caller was talking about, because the valuation has gone so high. They never had the gold. When they get you into the commodities market, they know they're not going to give you gold, and they figure you're going to settle for digits. Remember, back in the last three jumps, what they did is, when all this stuff matured during the window of acceleration, like we're seeing now, what happened is they offered people 10% more. Well, people said, no, I want my gold. And so then they said, how about 20% more? No, I want my gold. So then they said, well, how about we give you 200? We'll give you 100% over what your closing on the instrument is. And that was it. They either take digits, in other words, take Deutschmarks, dollars, whatever cash you want, but that's what you're going to get is the fake paper, the gold and silver. The gold and silver isn't there in the commodity market. In the instrument market, where we're talking about here with regard to bullion, I agree with, no, we don't come off any gold or silver. In fact, I've been saying this, we can't come off any coin. You don't want to come off any small currency if you can help it. And you also want to hang on to all your bullion right now. But what you're saying is digits, because digits invested, in fact, to diversify. And this is where I understand what the other caller is talking about with acceleration and devaluation of the currency. And I'll give you an example. And I've been repeating it how many days, if anybody's been listening to the program. Guys, 3 months ago, I told you all to buy Palmetto State Armory AR-15 M4 kits, because they were $240, $250 a piece. Go try and buy that kit now. Guess what? The valuation that has taken place, the perceived valuation, the lack of material in the market, has driven the price of the exact same product up to $580 a unit. It's the same kit you could have bought now for the money you have to spend, the digits you have to spend now. You could have bought two, almost three, for the price of what you're now paying for, well, one.
Hey, Mark, let me address his question. And I understand when people talk about this stuff, people who aren't aware of the options market, they can get upset pretty quick. But let me just do the numbers real quick. What I'm saying is, my opinion is, and I've done the math, if gold moves from where it's at right now to, for example, $3,000 by the end of the year, which I think is really easy that's going to do. If you buy whatever option, whatever amount of money, I'm suggesting someone has some throwaway maybe money, like $300, $400, $500. You will make between 3,000 and 4,000% on your money. Now, let's say the dollar collapses, like we take a 30% haircut, and consumer prices go up double. Instead of paying $4 for a gallon of milk, you're paying $8. Instead of paying, for whatever, you're paying 100% more. But if you're making 5,000, 3, 4, 5,000% on your money because of the huge increase, it's not going to matter. You're making 5,000%, but you're only paying 200% on inflation. It doesn't make any difference. And I'm not telling anybody to dump their physical gold or silver. In fact, what I'm doing is I'm taking profits and I'm shaving off the top. I called a guy local. I said, you got any Morgans and Peace dollars? He says, I got a whole pile sitting here. People are unloading it. People are always buying and selling no matter what the price is. I went into another dealer yesterday. He's got a 5-gallon bucket full of quarters and half dollars. I said, how much? He said, 16 times face. All right, here's your cash. Give me the coins. People are, and he was on the phone while I was talking to him. So there are always people who are selling that are not aware that we are moving into a paradigm where gold and silver are going to be $1,500 for silver, $5,000 an ounce for gold. And what I'm saying is, yeah, you're going to make money if you have the physical. But for right now, while the system is working and while gold is going up, it would behoove someone to take a little bit of money that they have and maximize your profits by buying options. And I'm not talking about trading or day trading. I'm just saying make one purchase, $200, get an expiration date out to March, and you're going to turn that into $5,000, $6,000, $7,000.
What we're talking about is a diversification investment. This is something we've talked about for forever. You can take a certain amount of speculation money, or whatever percentage you feel is acceptable, and run it into any one of these other markets. The wealthy do not drive all of their wealth into one pocket. They have many pockets. In this case, we're not wealthy, but we do have, if you have some resource, the advantage
just a little bit of money, just something you can, it wouldn't matter if you lost it or not. But no one in their right mind would say right now at this point that with the paradigm we're moving into, that gold or silver is going to go down. It's not. It's not going back to 2019 prices. We're not going back to 2019 anything. We're going up from here to the dollar's going down. And yes, consumer prices are going up, but the prices of things that are already in a bubble, like real estate, when this collapse takes place, you're going to see an 80 to 90% reduction in the price of real estate because it's already an artificial bubble. So if you've got $1 million house that reduces down to $200,000, and between now and then you make $500,000, that's my logic, is that this is going to move into an area where poor people are going to be rich, and rich people that are in dollars are going to be poor. Take advantage of it. They're going to crash the system. You might as well get paid.
Well, the other part about this is riding the angle of this wave, so to speak. One of the things to remember is once you have the instrument mature, if you accept the idea that you're not going to get bullion, you're not going to get anything but digits, but the digits are immediately transmuted into something viable, something physical.
Yeah,
always remember,
week
take that percentage. Well, it's even true with silver. Remember the old silver-gold formula? Most our caller took off. He probably could tell you all about it. But it's the idea that you start out with silver and then you spot a percentage and drop it for digits at a certain point when you ride the roller coaster as the little sine wave. Even when it's going up, there's a little sine wave there. You hit it on the peak, you drop it on the high, and then you reinvest a percentage on the low, and in fact still can utilize a percentage of that profit, that short take profit, to go over, this is what guys used to do, and buy, what you do is you take that little profit and buy gold with that. You still leave a majority of your silver intact. You don't throw it out for paper.
Dollar cost averaging.
Yeah, it's the idea is that you eventually can move you move your silver into gold to without really expending any additional money, no additional funding. But what you're doing is taking advantage of how the system is going to progressively mature in terms of this ongoing shipwreck.
The last thing I'll say is that if people can just go on YouTube and spend 6 or 8 hours learning about options trading and exactly what it is. If you've already got an account trading options or just trading stocks, go ahead and get permission to trade options. And if all you've got is $200 or $300, buy the GLD. In the money, long-term calls out to March or April, and let it ride. Take the profits. If you've got weekly profits coming in, shave some off, put them into physical silver. Go out and buy some Morgans or some 90% of something else. But if you're trying to work and you're putting your hourly wages in trying to buy silver, that's great. I've been doing it for 15 years. I've got a lot of physical silver. But I don't want to sell my physical silver when we're this close to the collapse.
Right.
So I'm taking some discretionary income, putting it into a trading instrument, I've held on to it for a month, and what it did since Friday, Mark, I can't tell you how happy I am. It made, I mean, just $100 going up on the GLD is an unbelievable amount on an options trade.
If we look at it as digits, think about digits. The 100 digits you just acquired will buy you 10 Bushmaster magazines. So that's 10 Bushmaster magazines you didn't have a few days ago, right?
It would actually buy me 10 Bushmasters.
Well, you know what I mean. In other words, you could go gold.
Yeah,
but
you're getting
again, remember,
100 times your money.
The most common problem we have is a lot of people right now, the conversation I've had is they've all walked up to me, and it's just like, well, what should you invest in? Well, arms and ammunition, and by the way, hard currency, but hard currency is spiking. We knew that. But guess what? Arms and ammunition are too. It's why we're cherry picking with all these different ideas, because no, you can't just drop into one part of the system and survive right now. You need to diversify to take from the system everything that we can and convert it into what is useful for us.
Yeah.
The idea is to be in the right place at the right time with the resources that we have. And again, like I said, we're not going to fix this country with the international banking system. In fact, their plan is to destroy us and then enslave us. The way we're going to save this country is with tangible, real wealth, actually handling our economy again. We are going to have to fight a war for independence like we did back in 1775. It didn't start in 76. It started in 75. And when that happened, even before that happened, it was the Americans investing in America, investing in the future of a nation, and continuing to invest in the future that made it happen. It wasn't the outside that did it. In fact, if you pay attention, there's a whole bunch of movies on this subject. I would point out, we went overseas hat in hand begging for money. Does everybody remember that? You ever watch even the John Adams series, right? What was John Adams doing in Holland? Begging for money.
What was the guy you were talking about yesterday that you wanted everybody, was his name John Stevenson?
John Stevenson, actually, yes, he was out of Hillsdale, Michigan. He's still there. I actually have been, I'll try to get back with him, find out where he is. I don't know where he even is right now because he was on the move. Back in the 90s, what he did, he retired from the auto industry. They started fiddle-farting with everybody's retirement. My wife's parents had the same problem. They cut their retirement by half, just stole it. They just flat out stole it. Most everybody is supposed to forget this because, after all, it was the 90s. Look at this, 20 years later, we can screw you again the same way. Well, anyway, John got pissed. So he started looking at money. And when he looked at the money, he did more research. He became literally a scholar on the subject. And what he did is he took about $10,000 and he went through the money system, through the numismatic collectors, and with the help of several, different research groups, he bought an example of every existing piece of currency from today all the way, and including all bank instruments I've talked about on the air that you don't even know about, people, all the way back to before the American War for Independence. Plug nickels, as they called them, greenbacks, every variation you can imagine. There are only two pieces of currency that he did not have in the whole history of the United States. Now, he paid $10,000 for that collection. He actually will say that if you have any of the videos or if you watch any of his commentaries, he'll say, yeah, I spent $10,000 to buy this currency, to buy everything that's here, and it's an example of everything. Not all of it's the finest example, but it is an example, a physical, real example of something printed in 1773 or 1785 or 1900 or 1827, take your pick. And he could go back and physically show you, when we talk about another thing with currency is a contract. All paper currency is a contract. You don't think so, guys? Now, caller, you're getting into money. You go to a coin collector. They typically now also have paper sitting there. Old paper is collected just like anything else.
Yes.
Well, guys, have them pull out a 1919 $1 bill or a $20 bill, which was a fortune at that time, by the way, and sit them down and read them. And because, guys, it's comical. We have the Crayola version of currency because we have the shyster bankers manipulating our money. But when you go back step by step and you look at the difference in the currency, take a look at the earlier bills, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. The entire contract was written on the bill. And step by step, they carved and altered, and as the Oi boys got into it and took it over, all of a sudden, well, you take a look at that $1 bill and read it, and you tell me, and then compare it with the original notes. Now, granted, because the different instruments had different purposes, silver certificates were counterfeits to steal the money out of the accounts. Silver notes and other instruments that were in place were deposit slips. The difference between the two. But since one was created as a mimic, they were able to walk in and take the silver that you would put in. I could walk in and take your silver out, and you wouldn't know. And at a given point, they voided out the original deposit slips and claimed that the counterfeits were the only thing that was acceptable. But the counterfeits were collected by the international bankers to strip the currency out of the country.
To add to what you're saying, there's a couple of other books. I'm sure you've heard of Wealth of Nations by Adam Weishaupt.
Yes,
there's a better book than that. There's another one you might have. I don't know. It's a limited edition. Not very many people know about it. It's called Pieces of Eight by Edwin Vieira.
Yep,
Yeah, that is a huge book, and it about covers everything. If people don't want to buy and read books, I know a lot of people don't read books these days, there's an old video that came out, and I think it was about 95, 96, and this is required watching. It's a few hours long. It's called The Money Masters. Everybody should have already watched that by now. And it gives people an idea. And the guy doesn't say Jew in, like a lot of these videos in the video. But if you can just fill in the blanks, basically you know what they're doing at that point.
Right. The international bankers don't allow anybody but.
Correct.
In fact, here's the basic rule. With the international banking system, it is the Jewish International Congress. And for everybody who wants to understand where crazy Mark how could I possibly say that? Well, I don't know. I went to a thing called the Encyclopedia Judaica. And if you read I think they're on volume 23, this is a living, constantly expanding encyclopedia done by the Jews. And the only reason you can read it, it's done in Hebrew and it's also done in English. And if you want to understand international communism, all you have to do is go find a copy of the Encyclopedia Judaica.
They were bragging to Henry Ford about how they were going to take over the world.
Right. Henry Ford was completely cognizant of what was going on, and it's funny. That's why that's why this is weird, but it's true. That intentionally the Muslims were moved into Dearborn. There's a whole flipping everything on its head I've always talked about here. I understand that Henry Ford tried to do everything to maintain an American system in the very core way that the founders had established it, keeping the business inside the United States, producing jobs that Americans could actually grow upon and build themselves. I mean, everybody always likes to repeat the thing, well, Henry Ford did hemp cars and hemp oil. Well, okay, but why did he do it? What did he perceive as the threat? And what was his purpose? Which again, why were they trying to do everything they could to get rid of hemp? Which they stupefied everybody with hemp. Let me put a parallel here. They stupefied everybody with propaganda on hemp, the same way they are stupefying America with face masks.
Yeah.
Does everybody understand that? The same lie formula and BS confusion formula that they created with hemp, which was the cash product. If we're talking commodities, hemp was the cash product that kept the farmer out of the poorhouse and out of the banker's foreclosure house. And so there were many reasons for the attack on hemp, not because everybody was smoking it, man, he got dope, man. That had nothing to do with what hemp was. Hemp was the core. It was the counterpart to cotton. Think about it this way, but with so many other applications. It was the counterpart to most every other part of any industry you could point at. Virgin plastics, the earliest age of plastics, any of the phenolic type plastics, all of those. Soybeans were part of that. George Washington Carver's peanuts were part of that. And of course, hemp was part of that.
Yeah, cotton breaks down, hemp doesn't.
Yeah, and
they want you to keep buying jeans every year.
Yeah, but combined, and yeah, that's why blue jeans are not what they used to be. When they used to stand on their own, they stood on their own for a reason. If you had hemp integrated into the weave, it was a totally different material, and that's why they were amazed at how long they'd last. So just a little heads up. Remember, it was made before the hemp craze created by the Rockefellers and all the other shysters whose job
They're not called Levi's for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and here again, this is all integrated into the process of, if we understand that the founders understood money and wanted everybody to understand money, but again, all America did. America's birth was founded in total currency diversification. That sounds weird, but in reality, I've told you a million times, we are bankers. They don't want you to know that. You think that bankers are some special career off to the side. In fact, you're all still kept as bankers, but you're all ignorant bankers. You all sign your lives away. You all hand over your life's efforts, and you don't know just how simple the banking system is and how wicked the creatures are that have overturned it. And again,
it stops at the Holocaust. Is whenever you start talking to Christians about banking, you have to start talking about the Jews, and that conversation stops right then and there, because they really do believe that these people, these fake Jews who have come into this system and taken over the banks, are somehow holy, special people. And to try to get modern-day Christians over that hump, to understand that these people are pedophiles, they're go-penis worshipers, they're Satanists, and they're doing everything to subvert this system and breed white people out of existence. That is literally like pushing a needle through the eye of a
camel through the eye of a needle.
Right. Yes, I'm sorry.
You're the right idea. I know what you're saying, yeah.
That's how hard this is, and it's been this way for, 25, 30 years now? All the people that we should have been converting over to this.
Okay, my biggest problem with the holy hoax, and I'll address that, is now you've got assholes, you've got, the chosen right now, who are telling you that, you can pass it on by genetic memory. Yeah, I'm sure you can pass greed on by genetic memory. I'm sure that there are certain traits but as far as the remembering the holy hoax, okay? Well, if that's the case, I can remember, let's see, I've got a lot of friends that are from Ukraine. They can remember the Holodrama where the Jews killed 20 million Christians and had no problem starving them and bayoneting them to death. So I'm sure that those Ukrainians have a genetic memory of that. You see, this is the Twilight Zone garbage that's presented before us. However, again, we won't get too far from the money. It is to understand the succubus that is trying to destroy the last vestiges of liberty that really exist on the planet. They're forced, because our instruments, our documents are still in place. They hate this. The argument right now is that Trumpets letting all this go. Oh, they're saying, it's the G and the Q and all that. Forget all that garbage. One of the things I said last year, and if you look, we are seeing exactly what we expected. They are going right through the Bill of Rights and attacking every element of the first 10 articles of the Bill of Rights, because that's the foundation. If that was not in place, the rest of the mechanisms would be overrun. They hate the Bill of Rights. It's the property of you and me. They hate the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is like holy water on vampires. And so the latest thing is the states' rights issues, which, by the way, that's muddy water on that right now. Let's point something out. The Portland thing. This is all tied into what are they doing? They're trying to crush the economy. They destroy the economy. They can get you to sell your birthright for a bowl of beans.
And they don't get blamed for it either. That's why they're paying these people to get out there. They're trying to preempt the collapse of the dollar with the mother of all false flags. They tried it with the coronavirus. That didn't work. They're trying it with this Floyd George thing. That didn't work. Now they're going to do the continual rioting until Trump is forced to bring people in there. You've got a huge fight. They pull the rug out from the system. It collapses the dollar and say, well, look, we tried. Everything was fine. Everybody was unemployed in the coronavirus and all the rioting. It's not our fault. I'm telling you, it's not our fault. Yeah, it is their fault.
Even though we're the ones who will show up and all of us and tell you that we own everything.
Yeah, well,
and how
they
have
been hoarding.
They've
been hoarding gold and silver.
Well, that's the other thing at a given point. Now, here's the other part about currency. guys, you're going to have to fight for your property. See, this is the one part. Everybody's thinking, well, we're going to have this and it's a magic solution. No, what you're doing is you're investing in all of the tools that you need in your toolbox in order for your liberty to survive. You are still going to have to fight for your freedom. You are going to have to fight for your freedom. But rather than starting at a much lower level, if you put all of the tools into the toolbox and everybody points themselves in basically the same direction, then when we hit the ground running and we build, we are not back in the Stone Age. There is no reason for us to be, other than the people who just love it's the end of the world, you're going to die, we're all going to die. The asshats that are doing that, you better shut them out of your life. It's written, it's the coming thing. It's like, really? We've had this happen over and over and over again throughout history. If you don't know history, then, of course, this is all new and shocking. Well, for all of us, this isn't anything new, and it's not shocking. It's actually no surprise at all. But
it's been happened 109 times so far with these Jewish bankers. They go from country to country. They blow up the system, debt bubbles, real estate bubbles, all these balloons. Then they pull the rug out, go back in and buy everything up on the cheap. They've been doing it for thousands of years.
This is what I was curious about. That's why I'm wondering about yesterday's program. I will repeat again that they're a minority within a minority within a minority, and if they were done away with, the international bankers, it wouldn't be that long, and there aren't enough moose to hunt. Now, they'd have to buy mercenaries, but let me point something out about that. A lot of you have been terrified about this and terrified about that. Guys, when push came to shove and things got real serious, there was a little blonde-haired woman with a little pistol, and there was a guy with an AR-15 with a pink shirt. And, they called the police, who have all the guns and have all the uniforms and have all the government gear, and they wouldn't show up. And then they called mercenary after mercenary, contractor with guns and cool uniforms and MRAPs and all kinds of stuff. And the spiffiest, newest M4 3000 combat uniform and gear. And unlike last year's, which was the 3000 model, which is inferior. And you know what? Every call they made, the prostitutes wouldn't show up. Now, let me remind you about something that I've said many times. That when push comes to shove, eventually tier after tier are going to collapse one way or another in their mechanism, their institutions, and they will have to eventually call upon the international in order to get this done. You're going to fight two wars, and what you just saw in a microcosm with that little situation in St. Louis is what will happen internally as they try to fight and play police state, and we get rid of them along with the communists. You're going to have a very quick short-term win, but you are not out of the woods. You're then going to have to turn and fight, but you have to have an economy in the process. You have to have manufacturing in the process, and you need an infrastructure that continues to operate. And in order to do that, you need the cash, the currency, the wealth, and it needs to be a consistent, honorable system, or it will not work. And you have to understand how to make the system work because people make it work. You are the bankers, okay? Caller, thank you, sir. Anything else? Oh, I think I'm hang up. Well, God bless our republic. Death to the New World Order. We shall prevail, ladies and gentlemen. The empire's on the run. We're on the march. We're going to take a break. We will be back for the next hour of the Intel Report. It is Thursday on Liberty Tree Radio.
Sun will always shine on the old Liberty tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. March along with the Piper boys, we were born forever free. Let's go pay the Piper boys beneath the Liberty tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Pay the price they're asking, boys. Always pay the tyrant's fee. Never give up the struggle, boys. Fight for the Liberty tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old
We all need to prepare ourselves. You might have the food, water, gold, and silver, but ask yourself, are you truly prepared? That's why you need to visit MaineMilitary.com. MaineMilitary.com carries everything you need. Gas masks, fire starter kits, high-capacity magazines, chemical suits, military surplus items, and much more. Do you own a firearm? MaineMilitary.com has a large selection of pistols and rifles suited for your needs. Are your local stores sold out of ammunition? Call or visit them today for prices on hard-to-find ammo and bulk ammo orders. You don't need to worry about having a military surplus store in your area because MaineMilitary.com is the only store you'll ever need, all from the comfort of your computer. Visit them online today at MaineMilitary.com. That's Maine, like the state, military.com.
Join Mark and Don for Weapons Wednesday, where you'll learn how to use everything from your bare hands to your average AR-15.
The 12 gauge autoloader.
Sure.
The 45 long slide.
Yep.
With laser sighting.
You betcha.
The Uzi 9mm.
Yes, sir.
Phased plasma rifle in the 40-watt range.
What are you, crazy?
Wrong.
Okay. They'll talk about that too. So whatever question you have about whatever weapon you have, call Mark and Don on Weapons Wednesday. And remember, your mind is your first best weapon.
Liberty's Guardian, Guns and Ammunition, a family-owned business located in the heart of Ohio's hunting country. Let us help you find the right shotgun or rifle for you. Or if you're looking for a pistol or concealed carry, we have a nice selection of compact and subcompact pistols for that too. Check out our website at www.libertiesguardian.com. That website again is www.libertiesguardian.com. Go to the website and check out our selection today.
I had a dream the other night that, well, I didn't understand. A figure walked in through the mist with a flintlock in his hand. His clothes were torn and dirty as he stood there by my bed. He took off his three-cornered hat, and speaking low to me, he said, "We fought a revolution to secure our liberty. We wrote the Constitution as a shield from tyranny. For future generations, this legacy we gave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. The freedoms we secured for you, we'd hoped you'd always keep. But tyrants labored endlessly while your parents were asleep. Your freedom's gone, your courage lost. You're no more than a slave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. You buy permits to travel and permits to own a gun. Permits to start a business or to build a place for one. On land that you believe you own, you pay a yearly rent, although you have no voice in saying how the money's spent. Your children must attend a school that doesn't educate, and your Christian values can't be taught according to the state. You read about the current news in a regulated press, and you pay a tax you do not owe to please the IRS. Your money is no longer made of silver nor of gold. You trade your wealth for paper, so your life can be controlled. You pay for crimes that make our nation turn from God and shame. You've taken Satan's number. You've traded in your name. You've given government control to those who do you harm, so they could burn down churches and seize the family farm, and keep our country deep in debt, put men of God in jail, harass your fellow countrymen while corrupted courts prevail. Your public servants don't uphold the solemn oaths they've sworn. And your daughters visit doctors, so their children won't be born. Your leaders send artillery and guns to foreign shores, and send your sons to slaughter fighting other people's wars. Can you regain the freedoms for which we fought and died? Or don't you have the courage or the faith to stand with pride? And are there no more values for which you'll fight to save? Or do you wish your children to live in fear and be a slave? O sons of the Republic, arise, take a stand, defend the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Preserve our great republic and each God-given right. And pray to God to keep the torch of freedom burning bright. As I awoke, he'd vanished in the mist from whence he came. His words were true. We are not free, but we have ourselves to blame. For even now as tyrants trample each God-given right, we only watch and tremble, too afraid to stand and fight. If he stood by your bedside in a dream while you were asleep and wondered what remains of the freedoms he'd fought to keep, what would be your answer if he called out from the grave? Is this still the land of the free and home of the brave? God bless you, and God bless this republic.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second hour of the afternoon intelligence report. I'm Mark Cornke. One day closer to victory for all of our brothers and sisters, both on and behind the lines in occupied territories, southwest, east, northeast, and south. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to us on Libertytreeradio.4mg.com, IndianaFreedomTalkRadio.com in memoriam, and we are on AM and FM micro stations, AM and FM conventional stations, and Liberty Tree Radio on YouTube right now. The feed is up, and it is running flawlessly. Fast, easy way for you to hook up. If you're listening by phone, go to YouTube, go to Liberty Tree Radio, look at the top, look at the scroll right there, boom, plug in, and you got sound. Congratulations. Another quick way for you to hook up, especially I don't want you dancing around trying to fiddle, fart, and fight with that phone while you're going down the road. Shame on you. Don't do that. Don't let that happen. I don't want to hear everybody being a casualty. Anyway, we're also on Ultranet Hallmark and Golden Spike Technologies with a test today. This will start at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is a round-the-clock broadcast. This is a tag team system. You all know how that works, and it will be to test and ping all of the standby systems. That is tonight, 10 p.m., and everybody stay awake because you've got work to do. I don't know how many times they'll re-ping. That depends on whether or not they get a question mark from any of the nodes. So we're testing to make sure we can bring the entire Ultranet Hallmark and Golden Spike systems up and online when the time comes. Beyond the idle process that we are at right now. Remember, we've been building a lot on standby. We've got to make sure that every once in a while, all the links are where they're supposed to be, and then they're off again. Anyway, it is, and good afternoon to all our friends out there in Lower 49, including the great state of Jefferson, CONUS, the two outlying states, the territories, and the clock. It is 6:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is Thursday. It is the 23rd of July. It is the 12th year of open Fabian Socialist and Soviet Socialist occupation of America with a K, 2020, Old Earth calendar, 2020, year of betrayal, year of the Dance of Swords. The battle begins. In fact, we've already been joined in it. We're not getting caught flat-footed, but there are a lot of other dunderheads that will be. Just remember, don't let them drag you over to the bottom end of the 12-foot mark on the pool because they want to have company when they drown. Just be ready to kick them away from you and push their head down underwater if need be, just to make sure they keep going where they think they want to go without you. With or without you, well, it'll be without me. Anyway, real quick, couple of things. Number one, Chinook Medical, double plus, guys on those abdominal bandages, the rest of the items we talked about, exactly what I was hoping for. I expected that. But the order came in. Everything looks great. I'm already divvying it up to two of the heavy medical kits. I also got samples of certain dressings. I just want to go through. I just haven't gone through the box completely. But I'm going to go through all the dressings. Tomorrow we'll talk about it, or maybe 8 o'clock. If I can, I'll do it during the 1-hour break. I got 100 things to do, but I'll go through the medical items that I picked up, and I'll just give you a yay, nay. I personally believe that all of them for the price were worthwhile. The next order that I have that's coming in is burn application. And, again, I can't stress enough, you need some burn compensation, dressings, You may not be able to spend as much. You may not be able to do the big body wraparounds or arm wraparounds, but you can put some of the technology on the shelf. And it would behoove you, because there are just so many ways, and burns, it can be prevented from being a long-lasting casualty producer, but you've got to be able to treat quick. It doesn't mean your system is going to be eaten up with support. You're going to have to deal with burns. But you can knock down the turnaround time by immediately dealing with and addressing the problem. And there's been a lot of really great technology developed for dressings and medical support to prevent infection and to turn around, first pull the calories off the burn, and then motivate healing as quickly as possible. So, guys, that's what I'm looking at. I already placed the order. We'll see what happens, how long it takes for it to get here. It should be 3 or 4 days. It was actually short. I'm happy with the delivery time. Some stuff was out of stock. I expected, like I told you. A lot of the battlefield or battle application stuff is going out as quick as it shows up. I'm surprised that those abdominal dressings were still in stock, to be quite honest, for the price. They are the best price in the country, and that's over at ChinookMed.com, ChinookMed.com. The Big Cinch wraparound, compress wraparound, for doing abdominal injuries. But it works also for shoulders, legs, whatever you got a big stinking hole on, and you've got to try and keep, you're going to try and apply pressure, it's worthwhile. Definitely worth the money. We got a caller. Who do we have?
Hey, we got Tom from Northern Michigan.
And how is it in the heights of Northern Michigan on the bottom, well, I should say below the bridge with all the rest of us trolls?
It is pretty good. It's been kind of on the cool side. It's only been in the 70s and 80s.
Oh, that's comfortable working weather, even with the mosquitoes.
Big mosquitoes. Yeah, I was helping a guy with cutting wood and stacking it, and got pretty sunburned yesterday. I look like a red lobster now.
That's why I have those big Mexican sombreros. Everybody laughed when I bought them at the retail store. But you know what? It's like I did cherry picking today. It was hotter than hell to be doing cherry picking. Well, not cherry, forgive me, berry picking. I didn't do cherries. I was looking at the cherries. That's why they're on my mind. But that's why I take those sombrero, and I fold down the outer brim so it's hanging down instead of up. And you know what? You create your own shade, senor. And I will. I'm gonna steal that ethnic pride headwear and use it for our purposes. If I could find a cheap rice hat, I'd buy them. I like the Asian rice hats for the same reason.
Yeah.
They're airy. They make a lot of shade, and like what you were doing today, probably would have been a good idea too.
Oh, I wear a cap. Anyways, have you heard about Sean Anderson being arrested?
I know he was shot. In fact, I've seen the images of his wounds.
Yeah.
He was shot in the head, I think, 6 times, 4 or 6 times. What's amazing is it's the very thing we had a conversation on here the other day. Remember, guys, about being shot in your car? What's interesting is they fired through the glass and obviously through the body of the car, the stanchion or whatever. But they fired on him and hit him multiple times in the head, and apparently, certainly one of them hit him in the cheek, went through the eye, went through the eye on an angle.
He's blind. He is blind in one eye.
Right. In reality, what it is, the biggest problem he got is it went through the sinus cavity area, which is going to create all kinds of problems in the long run, too. But the fact is that he got hit multiple times and thudded in the head, but because of the safety glass and just the exterior surface, I've told you before, any junk between you and what's coming in makes a difference. Now, he got hit in the head, but the bullet stopped right there with the skull. Read the report. In fact, hold on here. I think I could, give me a second. I might even have from his girlfriend. They don't want to tell us, they can't tell anybody where he is in the hospital. I did see the picture of him where the one eye is, of course, bloodshot. That was still stable, but that's because of the transfer of fluids through those sinus cavities and the sandwich work that's there, guys. So apparently they were still trying to determine whether or not he's going to lose sight in both eyes. And, in fact, I'm looking right here. I want to say thank you to Luca, by the way. It's not right here in the front of me on the scroll. It was here a minute ago, as a matter of fact, and I'm trying to find it. But when you're looking on the program, that's when you won't find what you're looking for. I know how that is.
Well, anyways, I'm on Sean's page right now, and someone posted about Sean Anderson has been arrested, and he is on his way to a medical prison hospital here in Washington State as I'm writing this here. And then it says Sean has been arrested, and then his wife goes booked in Spokane County Jail. They'll let me see him in a bit, so I am getting a bite until then, Sandy. So it's beginning.
Well, the other thing about this, I'm looking to see what the, again, for everybody out there, are you talking about Sean's page on Facebook or Sean's page,
yes.
Web page?
Sean's page on Facebook.
Now, give out the information. How is it listed?
A posting. Someone
No. The page itself. What's the title for the page his Facebook page? If everybody wants to go and become friends, get in there and actually see what's going on.
It's Sean Anderson. That's all I know. That's what I have.
Okay, that's just it. Sean Anderson. Sean Anderson,
yes.
Right?
It's spelled S-E-A-N for anyone that wants to know. Anderson, A-N-D-E-R-S-O-N.
There we go. But there's no other, monikers or numbers or whatever, because everybody does different things in all of these different social media. So
nope,
again,
that's what
Sean
I have
Anderson.
Yeah.
Very good. And again, that'll give us a follow-up. So what they're doing, they're saying they're putting him in they're incarcerating him now.
Hold on, yeah. Here's another update. It is a blanket charge until they think of more. Charged with first-degree assault on an officer so far, Sandy, from his wife, Sandy. From Sandy, he is booked as a fugitive, even though he was unconscious when they flew him to Washington.
Okay, and also SJ is posting something similar, so, okay, we appreciate that. Thank you. For a couple of other listeners who are actually, yeah. Well, the thing is, first of all, he's lucky to be alive, but one of the things I would point out is, there's a couple things. Number one, they were at a meeting, or they were at a get-together. Everybody knew that the cops were out on the road. In fact, they say every report we have, by what I understand, is they were out there revenuing in force like nobody has seen. So apparently, since the country was open again, they figured they could start ransacking everybody's wallets. And we've talked about this before. Try to stay in groups. Try to work. Don't go alone. Have somebody with you, or at least one person with you. The basic rule, if you're out, especially anything after 9 o'clock, they're going to lie their ass off about whatever it is whatever they're pulling out of their hind end. And apparently it was malfunctioning equipment, or just dysfunctional equipment, because the cop flashed his headlights at him and he flashed back, which means they went up, down. In other words, they worked. And, of course, as is pointed out, the cops are out there in force trying to revenue whoever and wherever they could. And it was many times the normal number that would be seen out there. So they figured that something was amiss. We don't have the whole story, but we have some of the information. And I understand this is one of the biggest problems with, situation that we're talking about here is with the... after midnight, anytime you're out, the more rural it is, the more they can baffle everybody with BS. Ideally is try to find secondary roads and don't travel the primaries, something I've talked about many, many, many times. And in this case, again, the rest is history, as they say, because they tagged him more than a few times when they fired. Armoring up the vehicle just a little would make a big difference in terms of whether or not you get snagged in the back of the head. Of course, not everybody's thinking about that all the time anyway. I know that. Somebody's going to, immediately say, well, you don't know when you're going to be attacked, which is why you should armor the vehicle up whenever you can. And, again, understand that they're going to shoot for the driver and the rider. They're going to direct their fire accordingly. So you need to actually plan ahead and do what you can to, slow things down, projectiles coming in. One of the other tricks I really haven't talked about, like the back window, you can throw a half-inch piece of Lexan on the inside, and that safety glass is pretty much then impervious to bullets coming in, like on a pickup truck. If you armor the glass like that from inside, so it can't be seen, and in addition to that, then armor up the lower panel area with quarter-inch plate, Kevlar blankets. I've got Kevlar blankets. I bought them back when they were $10 a piece. And what you do is you can either fold it in half temporarily. Things get more serious. You might still have that Lexan there. If you do, I'd leave it, but I would then fold the Kevlar up. I'd hang it in half right where the window starts at the base. But if things got serious, I just put grommets up above and, not grommets, forgive me, studs, and I would hang the whole Kevlar blanket to the back of the truck. So, anyway, this is something we won't know more until, things break the rest of the way, and as it is, he can't talk, and certainly is in pretty bad shape. Anybody who has seen any of the images, again, he's lucky. It's bad, but it's good, okay? It could have been a lot worse. He got hit. He got tagged.
There's a picture of him of what he looks like now on his Facebook page.
There, thank you. Appreciate. I didn't know if they posted it because they were kind of worried about, putting too much up there. But if that's the case, then just to give you an idea, understand, read what it says there. I mean, they fired multiple times, and they specifically, they tapped him right on the head. It should have gone out the other side, or at the very least would have, been inside, and we'd be talking about, we're worrying about brain swelling, a lot of other issues. As it is, that may still be a sidebar. Don't forget that. But what that tells me, and I'd be willing to bet if we find out in the long run, they've probably been told they could use, instead of ball ammo, they were probably using lead soft point. Not lead, but, copper jacket, lead soft point, not hollow point. And if they were using hollow point, then everybody goes, well, how is it the bullets didn't go right through his beaner, or at least get inside the skull? Well, guys, I've told you a million times, penetration is everything, but when you're using a hollow point round, the hollow point's going to expand with the first point of contact. Well, what's the first point of contact? The windows or the frame of the body. So that flattens everything out. Now, it doesn't stop it necessarily, but that flattens that projectile out, and now you have something that's a larger caliber that's also diminished in energy. And so it still slapped him in the back of the head, and I don't know what it is that came in the side and got his eyeball, but one way or another, guys, technically, if it had been a better round, if it had been a ball round, he wouldn't be probably talking to us right now. Well, I should say he wouldn't be breathing right now.
No, he would have been dead.
Yeah, because again, and this is where, now from reverse order, I'm going to tell you something I've told you a million times for everybody listening. Ball ammo, ball ammo, ball ammo. Most of what we're running into, no matter what, somebody's going to have body armor. They're going to be in reverse. The enemy you're shooting at will be in a vehicle possibly. Well, look at the end result with regard to whatever it was that was used. 9mm is not that anemic for going through windows and sheet metal extensions and stuff like that, but it could possibly have been ball, but I don't think so, because ball wouldn't lose that much energy. Now, safety glass does offer a lot of protection. In fact, here's the thing I would point out that's interesting about this. We've tried to explain to people that head-on window shots, if they're firing, if you aren't a cop that jumps up on the windshield and shoots the 16-year-old girl in the face with a whole magazine of ammo when she's unarmed, if you're just on the ground firing directly at a windshield, the windshield offers a certain amount of ballistic protection. It will take and flex with the first few hits, but once you have shattered most of the surface area, or I should say the resilient body of the glass, which is reinforced by the polymers that are designed to keep the glass from shattering and falling all over you. Well, at that point, then the glass is weakened, and eventually it's going to give. But it's progressive failure. It doesn't fail immediately. And amazingly enough, a lot of bullets will be deflected, or several of the bullets may be deflected by a direct fire, horizontal fire against a windshield like that. So you still duck. Don't think that it's safe. It's like somebody when they put, It's like when I worked in the bank and all these cashiers, they put bulletproof, what they called bulletproof glass. There is no such thing as bulletproof glass. There's bullet-resistant everything, but it's not bulletproof. Somebody has something out there that will get through. And when they first put the glass in, I worked at Ann Arbor Bank and Trust, and they put it in one of the bank branches right downtown next to U of M over off the Diag. And I went in and I was talking, oh, wow, this is new. Yeah, if anybody comes in here, I'm just going to stand here. And if they shoot at us or anything, I'm just going to stand here and laugh at them. I said, no, you're going to drop and duck and get behind the big, heavy counter that's got the additional steel behind it. Because when they are starting to shoot, remember, you don't know how this ballistic Lexan is going to function when a bullet hits it. So we're not going to tempt fate. We're all going to duck.
Mark.
Yeah. Anyway, anything else, Tom? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, here's another post on Sean's site. It says, mark your calendar and plan to be in Idaho at the Lewis County Sheriff's Department on Saturday, August 1st, demanding justice for Sean. All officers involved must be charged with attempted murder. Sean Anderson is lucky to be alive. His vision remains unknown, and he can't say more than a few slurred words at a time. Pray the officers who attempted to kill him are held accountable and arrested for their crimes. We cannot disclose at this time where Sean is being treated due to threats of his wife being kept from seeing him. And that would devastate Sean right now. So for now, we ask for prayers and support for them both. His care is inadequate and must improve immediately. We at People's Rights love you, Sean and Sandy Anderson. And then it gives a link to a story. And then here's an update. This morning update from Sandy for Sean Anderson, 22 July, 9:53 a.m. Sean is having a bad day. Swelling is going down, causing blood to flow into his good eye. I suppose common in this healing process. Sean is really anxious because we couldn't spend the night together. He was sweating all night and freezing. They say he doesn't have a fever, but he was sweating so bad that the bed was wet. He pressed the call button and was told someone would come in to change the bedding, but it wasn't done until this morning. He is having a really hard time overnight because nobody is there to take care of him, and it is really ticking me off that I can't be there to make sure that he is getting the care that he needs. Sean needs another surgery in 3 to 6 weeks for repair to the damaged eye.
And again, this is ongoing. That particular post is actually one that I saw earlier today. So, again, for everybody out there, if you have a party that's out there in the area that can participate in the rally that's coming up, and I think the rally is actually being organized by, come on. I'm trying to think.
People's Rights Washington.
Yeah, but forgive me, there's a couple other personalities involved there. Come on. I just had their names in front of me here a little bit ago. I just read a follow-up report when they were asking for people to come in locally. Bundys. I think the Bundys are involved too, by the way. I think Ammon Bundy is involved.
Yes, he is.
Okay, very good. So, but there's a couple of names people recognize. And forgive me, but I just don't have them at my fingertips right here. I'm going to dig them out. Hopefully, if the thing hasn't been purged, which is the bad part about any of these social media scam sites anymore. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. So let's see what we can do. Anything else? Jump in there, please.
No, nothing. I'm just looking at the page and seeing if I can find anything. But I guess we're really gonna have to be really on a heightened state of alert, because if they're gonna do it to Sean, who's gonna be next? You know, I mean, we gotta really be prepared, because I think they're gonna start trying to assassinate more and more patriots. So they don't want.
Well, again, in light of what we're talking about, this is why communications is another thing. We had this incident with the 3 guys that were killed down in Florida, which is probably, we haven't heard any more. I have not had a chance to follow up on that today. There's a million things to do. But, guys, radios in your vehicles. You need to install radios in your vehicles. This is the highest priority. If you're going to be driving anywhere, you need to have at least FRS radios in hand. And rechargeables, regular batteries. In fact, let me get down the shopping list on that one real quick. Number 1, a CB radio. You can go to the truck stop and get a CB radio for $35, $40. You can go to Facebook Marketplace, and I can buy piles of radios for $40. Piles. I mean, whole bunches of radios, and sometimes with antennas. In addition to that, the FRS radios, you can go to any number of the different rip-off, plywood stores. Home Depot, Lowe's, Maynard's, and all of them have FRS radios, a couple for, 15, 20, some as little as 10. I bought some more for $10 a set because they were marked down from $28. They were Midlands. They're decent little units, and they match the other ones that I have, so they're still brand new in the package. Now, even though those have rechargeable, they're AA batteries, they are a rechargeable system, and they have, docks, the whole 9 yards, most cases, not all of them. But they do. The FRS radios always keep whatever battery it takes, AA's or AAA's. Go over to Dollar Tree. If you've got them in the vehicle, put 2 or 3 packs of those $1 for 8 or $1 for 6 cheapy batteries in the vehicle as insurance. Don't tell me someone didn't tell you after the fact, because I'm saying it right now. Always have backup batteries for everything, especially when it's cheap and throwaway. It's cheap insurance, $2 worth of insurance. Might save your hind end down the road. The third choice is marine radio, no matter where you are. Marine radio, marine radio, marine radio. Why? Because it's cheap and it's easy. I can go over to Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. I can right now get a couple of really nice, in some cases brand new in the box, marine radios for as little as $20, $25. And all over the state. And out west, especially like in the area where they are in Idaho, or in, eastern Washington State, eastern Oregon, perfect location for marine radio. You're away from almost all the regular marine traffic ways. There's no traffic to concern yourself with, but just in case, because you do have a few of the big rivers that have, by the way, locks, then make sure that you know what the controlled traffic conditions are. And then go from there. So, again, solutions, not just complaining about the problem, okay? And as a matter of fact, somebody else. Well, here again, we don't know. It sounds like they fired on him, at least what hit him was pistol ammunition, right? I mean, I don't see anything that says otherwise. If that had been rifle, even rifle, if they're using hollow point, guys, got to remember, the mistake is that using all of these expanding rounds, even the very expensive ones, in fact, you want to understand expensive ammunition, go look at what's left out there in ammo. A lot of what you see is the Expando Supermatic, buzzsaw. It's going to blow open to, half an inch, whatever. Well, the problem with that is when you're using it in a, vehicular sense, all of the polymers and the plastics and the glass have different telltale or defense characteristics, and in most cases they offer a reasonable amount of initial protection. And the fact that he got tagged through the car with 4 to 6 rounds of pistol ammunition, whatever the hell they were using, they might have even paid $1 a round. And if he had been out in the open, they'd have blown his brains out. But as it is, he's still alive. And granted, he's got, a major eye injury. He's got other blood trauma issue, which is moving over into the other eye, etc. But he's alive. Now, a little more protection, a little more armor, he would have been in even better shape. Obviously, think about this. If the bullet couldn't penetrate his skull, then it would behoove you, think about what I have said a million times here about the PASGAT, Kevlar helmets, no matter what model you get. A helmet would have made all the difference in the world and maybe not had any penetration. Well, wouldn't have been any penetration. If it couldn't penetrate his skull, the Kevlar would have stopped it long before it got to his beaner. You see how that works? Would have rung his gourd, There's another thing about getting hit in the head with a helmet on. I'm going to point out, it would still ring your gourd. This is not a movie. The blunt trauma energy delivered to the helmet is, to a degree, going to be delivered to you, but it is in a wider, broader impact area. And in and of itself, that means, well, at least, you're not going to get chopped up or cut up, but it's still going to stun you. If you're lucky, maybe not, but mostly it will. I've read enough, and I pointed out there are several examples you can look at that are actually in museums. The Patton Museum has one of the first Kevlar helmets that went into combat that got hit. To me, when I first looked at it, I came at it from the wrong angle. I said, what in the hell they got this dead possum in here for? Because what it is the helmet got hit with 3 7.62 by 39 rounds. One creased it, one hit it relatively center, and the other one creased it yet on another angle. Apparently some Cuban came up behind this guy who was trophy picking when he was on Grenada, and the guy took 3 hits, knocked him out cold. The Cuban apparently left him or was taking fire from friendlies or anybody else that might have been nearby, but he wasn't able to follow up with any more body shots. However, the guy did aim well and got 3 good, solid hits on a PASGAT helmet. So when you hear people say, we won't stop anything, well, there's actual examples, in the field. Now, remember, when you're wearing a helmet and you got hit with that kind of energy, you don't stop it like a wall, so you don't offer resistance. Let's understand that part of the progressive science and physics of deflection or dispersion of energy has to do with the resistance level. It had it been in a more static location, maybe the helmet would have compromised. But as it is, it stopped one bullet pretty much dead cold. It tagged, the other 2 tagged and plowed through the Kevlar, and like I said, it looked like a dead possum on the road. It was just fluffed all up to twice its actual size. Now, if that had been on your head with this situation, and again, I can't emphasize, we're always using this as teaching conditions, okay? Think about in the future. You armor up the driver. You armor up the driver. You always armor up the driver. In the future, when you are in a fighting situation, you armor up the driver to the best of your ability with whatever you can. And in that way, chances are you're all going to make it because you aren't going to stop in the kill zone. Now, the vehicle gets tagged out, you can't help that. Although, again, still it's better than taking bullets. Example, the bullets that were slowed down and that smacked into his skull, had they more energy, would have gone through his skull. Maybe embedded inside, maybe not. Maybe it turned his head into a canoe. But those, whatever super whiz-bang, Spittlebat 4,000 bullets that they were using in the conditions and with the vehicle, whatever he was driving, which I don't know what he was driving. Somebody else asked, well, what was he in? Was he in a truck? Was he in a car? I don't know. In fact, that might even be on his page. Sean Anderson on Facebook. Sean Anderson on Facebook.
It doesn't say what he was driving. It just said vehicle, so...
Right. So, again, we don't know. Pickup truck. See, again, this is where, if it's a pickup truck, it's real easy to armor a truck up, guys, and to do it in such a way they can't say anything about it, where they try to go, well, you're trying to armor up, blah, blah. Well, no, I got a bumper guard. You put a brick guard or a cargo guard inside the box, at the very back of the box, where it's right up behind the cab. You cut a piece of 1/4-inch steel, you put some standoffs in place, drill a few holes up on top, keep them so the thing doesn't bounce around, and you put a few standoffs, use whatever you want, steel, copper if you want it to flex a little bit, or brass if you want it to wear in. And what you do is you screw that upright to the wall. That 1/4-inch steel plate right there makes a big difference in slowing down a whole lot of, and tearing a whole lot of energy away from that bullet. And again, with the upper part of the box, other stuff you can do. Don't forget, cheap Kevlar vests. They used to be a lot cheaper. You could buy 2 for the price of what you're buying 1 for now, but you could buy surplus vests and armor up the seats. And it's so simple, it's ridiculous. Now you add that in addition to that 1/4 plate, you've all done a whole lot to protect the core areas of the crew compartment from the rear. Not from every direction, but certainly from the rear. And again, there's ample examples of these characters putting bullets when they figure they're trying to kill you and you're in the vehicle. If you look at the bullet penetration on a lot of these vehicles, you will see over and over again what we've been talking about. They've been all coached that if you duck down, then they just drop the bullets down there just below that window, right in line with that driver's seat, and they keep tagging bullets to try and eat their way through to you. See how that works? So just a heads up on that one. It's part of the training, progressive training, and it's something that we all need to be prepared for. Well, we can prepare for and deal with, but you've got to do something about it. You have to do it now. Anyway, tell you what, Tom, anything else? What's going on up that way? Anything in particular jumping off? Anybody make any announcements about not liking the governor, sheriffs, anything up in the upper part of the state?
Not much up here, except for a bunch of brain-dead mask wearers. Other than that, not much has been happening up here. It's been kind of quiet, and still the sheriff's the sheriff department seems not to be enforcing any of the non-maskers, because a few people I've talked to said that they were one was at a gas station, saw a sheriff deputy, and he wasn't wearing a mask. The deputy, they just waved to each other, and then a few other have said that they were walking down the street, sheriff passed them, and so I think the sheriff department are going to do it, and the Michigan State Police have been defunded now.
Well, that's kind of funny in and of itself. It's like, we will have the communist deal. We will dictate to you about wearing your face muzzle. You must wear your dog muzzle, comrade, and you will wear it, and you will wear it proudly. But by the way, we're going to, dump the cops. Well, in theory. In reality, what they're pushing is a Fed cop. I know what the long run is.
Yeah. She defunded the Michigan State Police and the Department of Corrections, yes, in her new executive order.
Well, the Department of Corrections is going to have a bit of a problem. I don't know what they're going to defund there, because the only option they would have, since they have a set number of prisoners, is that they would be releasing a bunch of prisoners. So I haven't heard anything about that. But if they do, it would be rather interesting to see where their criteria is.
If she did it, I bet you it's a carbon copy of the thing that came out of Georgia, where it wasn't so much defund as shift everything over to privatized groups.
Right, and again, that's the other thing that'll be happening more and more with the corporations. So her dirty little clique is probably tied into and invested heavily in whoever the privatized elements are, which is what everybody needs to pay attention to in each of the states. Remember those two judges that sent all those children to be perverted at the pay for punk prison that they set up? And they got thousands of dollars per child for sending them to the punk prison that was privately run. Same scam with all the rest of these turds.
It's Executive Order 2020-155. Again, that's Executive Order 2020-155 if anyone wants to look it up.
And as a matter of fact, let's see. So Michigan Executive Order. Let's see how it pops up on my search. Go ahead and give that number out again.
Again, it's Executive Order 2020-155.
Very good. Actually, what's funny is I just punched it in there, and there were a whole plethora of executive orders all from the last few weeks that popped up. So rather fascinating in and of itself. As a matter of fact, extension of county canvass deadlines, extension of 2020 income tax filing deadlines. It's interesting, the Secretary of State's office might as well not be in business. If you were trying to file to get an appointment, for instance, as of last week or a week ago, 2 weeks ago almost now, the soonest that you can get into the Secretary of State's office is September. What month is it? Oh, it's July.
What was the number on the executive order again, Tom?
Executive Order
2020-155.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say it's right here in front of me. As a matter of fact, what's cute is termination of states of emergency disaster declared under the Emergency Management Act in Executive Order 2020-33. Oh, that's the old one. Forgive me. Actually, this is interesting. All of these are popping up at the same time.
Okay,
in
I've
a
got
search
it
that
right
should be
here, Dad. 2020-155. They're using the coronavirus as an excuse to shift funds from the state. Is it state police or police? Hang on here. I was reading a summary that they had in an article. They're claiming that they're shifting it for COVID relief, not actually defunding it.
That just means they'll be telling the cops to be pointed towards enforcement. But, again, that's another reason, as we've pointed out, and as several people have been saying, have you noticed where the state police have kind of disappeared? And it's like, yes, for the last couple of weeks, we're not seeing the revenuing that we've seen on a massive scale in certain corridors.
That's pretty much what this says. Let's see. State budget director and state treasury to notify governor when actual revenue for fiscal period falls below. Basically, they haven't been bringing in enough money, so they're cutting their budget. That's literally how this reads, Dad.
Yeah, we are cutting our budget because you have not been scamming off of the people enough. You need to go. If you go out and scam off the people more, we will give you more money. But otherwise, we have to take some of your money away because we've got more gay bars we have to support. Faggot boy bar, faggot female, and faggot boy bars have to be supported. Remember, when all the other bars were closed, the faggot bar right down the street from the governor's mansion stayed open the whole time, people. The queer bar down by the golf course. But not on the golf course.
What are they spending $620 million on? Well, it's $1.1 billion, but $621 million is being spent in one area.
Well, we can pretty well figure that's Oakland County, and that'll be going to any of the kosher enclaves, Blatzenstein, Bloomberg, et cetera, et cetera. There's very important monies that they need to receive for coronavirus field research. And, of course, those monies will have to go to Israel almost immediately and be transferred to private banks somewhere in Haifa and Tel Aviv, even as it hits the griddle, so to speak.
I hate when they do this, too. This one is written like a contract where you have these abbreviations for things, but they don't have a table of contents to tell you what those abbreviations are.
Very good. And we are headed towards the top. Well, we have about 10 minutes here, but I wanted to get a few more things out real quick. I'm going to change direction for the time being because I'll go through and we'll read the executive order and pour through it. Although again, I've got three things to do. We promised to go through the rest of the medical gear in the hour break that I have. Oh, and I'm going to eat too. Real quick, before I forget, I want to get this out. A lot of people have been trying to find cheap AR-15 mags. Well, there aren't any real cheap AR-15 mags, but it's kind of gone full circle here with the price creep that's been going on. If you go over to gunpartscorp.com, www.gunpartscorp.com, www.gunpartscorp.com, go over to the deals section, tag that. That will take you to closeouts. Tag the closeouts down below when that pops up, closeouts. It's the only thing that pops up there. When you do that, go to page 16 in the closeouts. Page 16 in the closeouts. On page 16, on the second and third row, you will find magazine 5.56 223 30-round aluminum new lot of 10 Bushmaster magazines for $100. Free shipping. Now, if you Gun Parts Corp has a free shipping clause. I think it's $79. Well, you're going to spend $100 on 10 mags, so it's free shipping. So the shipping is worthwhile by itself. That makes us a flat $10 per mag for Bushmaster aluminum magazines. And again, they're brand new in the bubble. They're on the card and the bubble wrap. Just like the ones, actually, these are just like the mags that they had by the pallet bins down at Cabela's. They're all gone. There aren't any Cabela's that I know of. Those are all gone. Everybody started grabbing an armful from the bin. But these are $10 a piece, which makes them anywhere from $2 to $5 to $7 cheaper than pretty much everything else that's out there. And with free shipping, it's flat rate, whereas you still have a shipping charge with most of the other places where you're buying the mags and ammunition or whatever. So it's flat $10 per magazine. Again, that is over at gunpartscorp.com, gunpartscorp.com, www.gunpartscorp.com. And then when you get there, look over on there's a line at the top of the page in black where you see deals. You touch deals. When you hit that, you're going to see a banner that pops up that says closeouts, tag closeouts. When you go to the closeouts, you will go to page 16. You got to work your way out there, get to 16. Now go through all the rest of the closeouts. There's a bunch of other deals. If you've got an M1A or for an M1/M14, there's a bunch of M14 goodies in there that are worth picking up right now in the closeouts. There are also a number of M1 Garand items that are, even if they're reproductions, doesn't make any difference. They're very good quality. And they're serviceable enough for what you're doing, but they're for making an M1D out of maybe a ratty M1 you might have. But the parts are all there and everything's ready to go, so you can buy any number of combinations on that.
You're going to want to take a look at this. They do a pretty good breakdown. It is their breakdown of the budget for Michigan and how things are changing. It looks like it's not just the police that are being cut. Transportation is being cut. Tech management budget for the state is being cut. State police and the state bureaus being cut, having the revenue cut. So basically the state's version of the FBI, Michigan Bureau of Investigation, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. Military and Veterans Affairs being cut.
But of course, yeah, we would expect that.
Let's see. Schools and education are being cut. Yeah, there's a whole long list of stuff. But then, of course, certain things are not being touched. Like their civil rights spending, which is a lot, is not being touched. Capital outlay is not being touched. Attorney General not being touched. Oh, no, wait. Attorney General is being touched. The Attorney General's getting their budget cut.
But the purple dressed lesbians will still be covered. It just means the heteros will be fired.
Corrections facility, education. They're not touching environmental stuff. Yeah, they've got a good breakdown on this of what they're taking out. But the cops are being cited specifically for not keeping up their revenuing.
You have not been ticketing the people enough. You have not been oppressing the population. You are not working for the communists, for the Central Soviet Commissariat. So, obviously, you will be punished. And then, of course, don't worry, they will do like they did before, where they proposed that they stated, for everybody who doesn't know about the Michigan State Police, understand the last time that they had it was proposed they were going to cut back on their, money. But they said, well, don't worry, we can go out and write 3 or 4 more tickets a day. We'll do that. It's not that they needed to, because you're breaking the law. They stated they were going to write more tickets because they needed money. Pay attention. See, which came first, chicken or the egg? Did we need to write more tickets because there was some scofflaws out there? Oh, my goodness, we got to... No, that had nothing to do with it. They promised they'd write more tickets so they wouldn't lay off any state police officers, which means they'd find a reason to write a ticket on you no matter what. If it stuck, it stuck. If not, they didn't worry because they made a few extra write-ups, and that way they were over the margin and everybody would be on the job.
Oh, here we go. People should be
So be ready for that one again.
The financial support, savings, and temporary layoffs, the basically unemployment office, they're getting cut. Air quality programs getting cut. Environmental investigations getting cut. Office of Climate and Energy getting cut. I guess basically they're trying to clear the way for, production maybe again. But of course it's all going to be for the underhanded stuff where they have no quality control.
But Mark, I'm confused. I thought our property taxes went to pay for the schools.
I thought it was already paid. No. You are confused. You forgot that we were never going to pay a tax dollar for schools again because we had the Michigan lottery.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Oh.
That was a scam every state where they pulled that crap, forgive me, garbage, and every time the same lie was applied. And you know what? When they were done, we all still paid all those taxes, and they still raked in all that lottery money.
Yep, special
but they didn't spend it on the
services, school support services, that's all being cut. But, of course, they're not being cut as much as some of the other departments are. I think with some of this, it's only like the environmental thing, the climate, the Office of Climate and Energy is only being cut $700 out of their budget.
That's probably going to be tied into the coronavirus scam in some way because they're still having, the Karens are out there, flapping their yap because this business was letting people in without their, without masks on. How dare they? How dare they? Only got to do with the Greta thing. How dare they? Well, anyway, so they're sending these little peckerwoods out from one department or another, and I guarantee that's one of them to go harass the small business owners. So just a little heads up there. That's again the stuff that where they're not going to be cutting any more than they absolutely, or even if they did cut it, what they'll be prioritizing on is where they can continue to the social engineering harassment and propaganda, and that will be one of the areas. And it's already something we've been talking with people here locally. There's always, like we said, the East German Stasi rat. But what the Politico doesn't understand is that at a given point, someone's going to ambush one of them outside a business. They're going to be listening to him harassing the owner, and the owner's been nice to everybody, and the owner is actually an American, and the owner is actually, sees what lies are going on, and somebody's going to meet the little pencil neck geek outside of the building, or when they're blindsiding him, getting into the vehicle. And they're just going to go to town on them.
Oh, they've also got a listing here of savings from temporary layoffs. Which is interesting.
Well, we'll have to go through that. We are at the top, by the way. We're almost there.
Yeah, we are.
For everybody out there, guys, again, executive orders, there's actually a whole slew of them. Remember, every one of these communist dictators, it's actually two words. The second one is a potato with a hole in it. You figure out what the first word means. Remember, they're dictators. Oh, it's kind of a disgusting image, but it applies. So for everybody, again, remember, organize, arm, equip, and train as militia. Establish a 510 program in your area of operation as quickly as you can. We have talked about currency. The bad guys don't want us to talk about money or about putting all of these ring-knocking communist Chinese spit-swapping companies under. Do not buy at Walmart. Do not buy from Amazon. There's nothing that I see that's any really good savings in Amazon ever. So, guys, instead, go out of your way to find little companies or other American companies. Even if you're buying the China sports stuff, try to buy it from somebody else other than the big box people that betrayed us during that gun-to-your-head lockdown period. God bless our republic. Death to the New World Order. We shall prevail. The empire's on the run. We're on the march. I'm going to get out of the way. Got some reading to do here real quick. And we will be back at 8 o'clock. Meanwhile, Ed taking over here and more LTR coming up.